I'm super excited to be joined by a very special guest today, Biagio Ali Walsh, in the studio with me. Appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me.
A lot of people, I'm sure, when they hear your name, automatically think of your family. Muhammad Ali, you are the grandson of Muhammad Ali. Why did you want to go into somewhat of the family business? I know you're MMA and he was boxing, but why did you want to go that route?
It kind of fell into my lap. You know, I played Division I college football I played 2 years at Cal Berkeley, and then I transferred back to UNLV and played home. And it wasn't really working out for me, so I wanted to still stay in shape, you know, not playing football anymore. And I trained over Extreme Couture just to initially stay in shape.
Yeah.
At the same time, I was interning as an assistant strength and conditioning coach at a sports facility that was in Vegas. And a lot of the fighters that I was coaching were fighters from Extreme Couture that I knew. So I just remember standing there, you know, 21, 22 years old and thinking to myself, I miss being the athlete. I miss putting in the hard work and getting rewarded for that. And I just miss it. So at that moment, actually, I was like, you know what, I'm going to take MMA serious and I'm going to just see how far I can go with it.
And you do have an MMA fight coming up here in Atlanta in just a couple weeks, June 16th at OTE. Fighting for the first time in Atlanta. You excited to do that? I'm
super excited, yeah, thrilled.
What are you most excited about when it comes to fighting in this city?
Winning. Definitely winning. And trying out some good food. You know, there was a spot here, I forgot the name of it, but it had the best chicken and waffles I've ever had, so.
That's pretty good. Hopefully you can figure out what it was so that you can go back there.
Definitely.
You know, one of the things that I think is so cool is that this city does mean a lot to your family. Your grandfather was able to light the Olympic cauldron here. Your brother and your mom actually visited that, but you have not seen it yet. Is that on the itinerary for you while you're here? Yeah,
that's definitely on my bucket list. You know, inshallah, after this win, go over there, check it out, and yeah, I'm super excited.
What are some of the things that you remember the most during your time with your grandfather and the influence that he had on your life?
The biggest things I remember with him is just spending quality time with him. You know, we used to hang out and just watch movies. He loved magic, so my brother bought like a Chris Angel magic kit.
Wow.
And we used to do magic tricks just to get a reaction out of him. And my favorite memory was going to see Peter Jackson's King Kong, though. That was probably my favorite memory.
And obviously he had such an illustrious boxing career, but you remember the man that he was. I've heard in a couple times the interviews that you've done, you were most influenced by the stuff that he did outside of the ring. Why is that?
100%. He was the people's champ, you know. He earned that name for a reason, you know. He didn't have any security walking down the street. He took pictures and signed autographs for everyone. People would give them their kids and he'd hold them and kiss them, and he was a people's champ. And yeah, he was a great humanitarian. All the love that he spread and the charity work that he's done, that's the side of him that inspires me the most.
Obviously you weren't around during his boxing career, but you've learned so much from your parents, from watching things, and from your conversations with him. What can you take from those moments and really infiltrate into your young career?
Like I said, you know, just seeing him as an example. You know, he's not just an example to me, but all of the world. You know, he's inspired millions and millions of people, and I think the more we try to be like that, the better our world will be. So those are the biggest takeaways I get.
That's really cool. Let's talk about your young career, because you're new into this, and you've had a couple of really successful fights lately. Your last two were very quick. You and I were just talking about it before we got on camera. What were you most proud of when it came to those two recent fights?
Getting my hand raised. That's what I'm most proud of. Obviously, I'm always grateful for a win. Yeah, that's pretty much, yeah.
And you just told me about your football background. I know you played it in college. How can that help you when it comes to your MMA?
Yeah, so football is obviously a team sport, and MMA is an individual sport. But you need a team to be successful. You know, you can't go into the cage with nobody cornering you or anything. So you got to have somewhat of a team. At the gym I train at, Extreme Couture, we're a family there. We're a giant family and we're a big team. And I think that the team aspect from football transferred over to MMA for sure.
And apparently you ran a sub 4.340 in high school.
Yeah.
That's got to help somewhere, right? You're quick.
It's pretty fast, yeah.
Do Do people really know that?
I don't know if they know it, but you know.
Now they do.
Yeah, the more they watch my career, they'll know that not my feet are fast, but my hands are too.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. So you're going to transfer that all over the place in the ring, I hope. So you are an amateur fighter right now, and there are a couple steps that you want to take, you and your coaches want to take to make sure that you can get to the pro level that you are going for.
Yes.
What are those steps?
Yeah, so the PFL has given me a great opportunity. They see potential in me, and I am super blessed and grateful to have the opportunities that I have. And to be exposed to these cameras and to fight on a big stage and to fight on ESPN and get all the media attention. As an amateur, you know, by the time I go pro, it's going to be second nature. So I feel like the stars are all just aligning for everything to happen the right way. Yeah, you know, fighting on a PFL stage is, most pros don't really get that kind of experience. And I'm getting this experience as an amateur. So right now, I just want to get as many fights as I can until my coach thinks that I'm ready to go pro and go to that next level. But I'm just super grateful for everything that's happening.
As we mentioned, you are going to be fighting in Atlanta in a couple weeks in the middle of June. What's your push for people to get out there and watch you in the ring?
I mean, you guys want to see a good fight? Like, it's going to be a great fight. It's going to be a good card. I think there's heavyweights on this card, so you get to see the big boys fight too.
And you're not a heavyweight, you're a lightweight.
Yeah, I'm a lightweight.
Explain to people what that means for people who aren't really aware.
Yeah, so in MMA, the lightweight division is at 155 pounds. Heavyweight is 265 and up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and on that card, there's a lot of heavyweight fights, so it should be a great card.
Circling back to your grandfather really quickly, it is a family business in a way because your brother's in it, you know, your grandfather did it. Do you feel any kind of pressure?
Oh yeah, I feel pressure every day. I felt pressure as a little kid. You know, when we were kids, it was a secret who our grandpa was.
Really?
We always kept it a secret. If anybody knew, I'd be like, "Who told you?" You know. So it was always a secret. And then by the time I hit 14 years old, I was playing freshman football at Bishop Gorman, and I had a successful career, a successful season. And Max Preps, they do a lot of coverage on high school sports.
Yeah.
They somehow found out who I was related to. I still to this day don't know how they found out, but they found out. And ever since then, the media kind of just exploded with the football success and who I'm related to. So yeah, I've had that pressure almost my whole life, really. So, but you know, what comes out of pressure is diamonds, right? So everybody's got that pressure, and it's just how you deal with it that matters most.
Obviously, it's a tremendous honor for you to have your grandfather be Muhammad Ali, but how do you separate yourself from that as you're trying to get into your young career now?
Yeah, do my thing, you know, go out there and be myself. I have my own personality. I have my own talents when it comes to getting in the cage and fighting. Be yourself, you know, that's how I'm going to make my own name. You know, every fighter wants to make their own name. They want to create their own legacy. You know, that's their ultimate goal. I'm doing the exact same thing. It's just a little elevated because of who my grandfather is. I get a little bit more attention and a little bit more exposure as well, but you know, I wouldn't be signed if I was 1-5 or 1-6. You know, if I was a fighter with no potential or didn't have any talent, right? So, the hype kind of comes when you see potential. You know, so yeah.
All right, you got the really quick knockouts in the last two fights that you have. What are we looking forward to in the next two?
I always say the same thing. You know, anything can happen in a fight. You got to be prepared for any outcome. But I'm going to get my hand raised. That's all I know. Okay, and hopefully here in Atlanta, too. What else do you know about the city of Atlanta besides the chicken and waffles? Ooh. I know some of my favorite artists are from here. Yeah, that's true. Like who? Yeah, I know T.I. is from Atlanta. Yep. I think Future is from Atlanta. So those are, you know, I grew up listening to T.I. and I love Future, so... Yeah. Okay, well, hopefully you can enjoy a little bit of the city as well as what you're going to be able to do in the ring. I look forward to that, yeah. Okay, awesome. I appreciate you being here today. Thank you so much.